Hey, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth. I'm your host, the Game Master. And before we get into today's episode, smash like, make sure you're subscribed, and leave us a comment. That helps us out on our end with the YouTube algorithm, but also we love hearing from you guys. We've got an awesome community here, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you so much for being here. So, having said all of that, let's dive in. The prologue to today's game session took place in the Continuum Bar and Grill, where Friction, Powerhouse 2, and Vortex discussed how Jade Jaguar had been kidnapped by Aim Flame, Ice Heart, Iceberg, and Magma, who in turn were working for a villain named Barracuda. Friction knew another female hero named Lightspeed who had battled Barracuda about 10 years ago. So, through her, she knew that Barracuda was a vampire. And as such, she used her super speed and gadgetry to make a laser pistol that uses UV radiation, or in other words, a sun gun. The player characters also stocked up on wooden stakes, and they even got an inhibitor collar from Rogue. Then, once Friction felt like she was ready, she was the first one to go through the CBNG's famous bar door. So she enters the Barracuda's club and sees him standing in the middle of the room. So she runs over to him at super speed and tries to put the inhibitor collar on him, but fails. Next, through the bar door, is Vortex, who sees this and teleports the collar directly behind Barracuda, while Vortex himself tries to simultaneously also teleport there too, so that he can put the collar on the bad guy and neutralize the villain's powers. But Vortex also rolls too low and fumbles this for a second, only to recover a moment later and then slap the collar onto the neck of the villain. Powerhouse 2 then flies in through the bar door and tries to use a wooden stake on Barracuda's heart, but he also fails his dice roll. Ether attacks Friction, trying to pull the air out of her lungs, but Friction dives into the next space over on the map. Barrage and Night Laser both activate their body of metal. Surf and Turf shoots a water jet at Vortex, who in turn dodges. So that section of the map is now wet, which is relevant since there's going to be a lot of lightning bolts getting thrown around very soon. Tombstone punches Powerhouse 2, who is invulnerable to any kinetic damage, but the hero still takes knockback damage and is knocked into the bar itself, smashing colorful glass bottles full of liquor and shattering the mirror behind the neon lined bar. Barracuda, on his turn, yells at Tombstone for damaging the club. While he is doing that, Friction shoots Barracuda with the sun gun, knocking him out. And since the inhibitor collar is on, that shuts off all of the powers that he has from the other side of his family, like regeneration and regrowth and resurrection and stuff like that. So he stays knocked out. Vortex shoots a lightning bolt at Barrage, who uses his martial arts to dodge it. Powerhouse 2 punches Tombstone so hard it literally shatters him into gravel slash shrapnel that peppers the glass in the bar, shattering the wall behind where the stone villain had been standing. Ether uses Windjet to create two very fine tornadoes, which she tries to use kind of like a water saw to slice up Friction, but Friction is able to dodge. Barrage shoots lightning at Vortex, who is insubstantial now. So the lightning passes harmlessly through Brad's character and into the wall behind him, which again shatters more of the glass in the club. Surf and Turf runs over to Barracuda and tries to figure out how the inhibitor collar works, but then fumbles its removal. Friction then shoots her flame jet at Surf and Turf and rolls a critical success. So she turns the water half of his body into steam and the sand half into molten glass. Once the steam half has dissipated, Surf and Turf's molten glass side of his body slumps over onto the floor and kind of oozes. Vortex then takes an interest in Barrage since they both have lightning, and from here on out, Barrage is his designated dance partner. Likewise, Friction and Ether pair up for kind of a girl fight, and Night Laser is a clone of Powerhouse's father. So for those two running into each other is weird. Night Laser at first tells Powerhouse, "Get out of here, kid," in kind of a rare display of mercy. Because while Night Laser is a villain, he still sees Powerhouse 2 on some level as sort of like the son that he never had. And he's not super eager to punch this kid. Powerhouse 2, in turn, tells Night Laser that it's not too late for him to leave. He says the villains are going to lose, and Powerhouse 2 says, "I don't want to hurt you." Night Laser is annoyed that this kid even thinks he can hurt him. So Night Laser's fist glows red with the energy of his laser power, and he flies at Powerhouse for a round, but then they kind of argue. And we make a couple of rolls using the GURPS rules, and Powerhouse actually wins by a small margin, so Night Laser stops. He doesn't throw that punch after all. Barrage uses his mastery of electromagnetism on the club's colorful spotlights. Since light is electromagnetic in nature, this Barrage, who by the way is from an alternate universe, turns the normally harmless spotlight into a beam of destructive energy. Vortex dodges the beam as it slices through the floor of the nightclub. Ether tries neutralize fire, and when that doesn't work, she activates her own body of air. As she does, Friction shoots her, doing a lot of damage to her face. When Friction can't attack Ether anymore because now she's made of air, Friction blasts Barrage and gets an amazing roll of the dice there too, getting another critical success, doing double damage and blowing Barrage out the side of the building and into the street. Vortex shoots at Barrage, but again, he dodges, sort of like the characters in the Matrix movies. Night Laser tells Archer, tells Ether, who is his girlfriend, that it's time to go. With Barracuda defeated, they're done here. Ether goes solid and she's ready to go, right? Barrage blasts Night Laser then and calls him a coward. Powerhouse 2 lunges at Barrage. His own fist glows neon blue with laser energy, and his goal is to punch at just the right time so that Barrage would take damage from both the physical impact of the punch as well as the laser power, both at once, right? But he gets the timing wrong. So the punch misses the mark, but when he rolls separately for the laser attack, he gets a critical success, which blinds Barrage for the rest of the game. Friction gives Ether the middle finger and isn't done fighting her yet. Ether sees this and is goaded into still fighting Friction rather than leaving with her boyfriend, Night Laser. Then Friction nukes Ether's face with copious amounts of fire. The dice roll really high. And when the smoke literally clears, Ether looks kind of like a female version of Skeletor and is knocked out for the remainder of the game. Night Laser was mad that Barrage called him a coward, so he jumps into the air, and when he comes down, he brings his fist down onto Barrage, hitting him so hard that he knocks him through the street and into the sewer. On Friction's turn, She searches Barracuda's club at super speed and finds the knocked out body of Jade Jaguar. The villains had abducted him because he has elemental powers like they do, but also because he can make jade at will, which is super valuable to them. Point being, she takes him back to the CB&G where Water Bear tries to heal him. Friction then returns to the battle where Vortex is still shooting Barrage with lightning. Powerhouse tries to punch Barrage but fumbles that roll. Barrage then uses magnetic control to start to pull all of the metal in this street scene and all of the metal in the sewer towards him. And his goal is to create something that he refers to as Saturn's Ring, which is a ton of metallic shrapnel spinning around him like a buzzsaw blade, which he can then use on heroes and innocent bystanders alike. Night Laser, Powerhouse 2, and Vortex all dogpile Barrage. During this point in the battle, against all odds, Night Laser and Powerhouse 2 actually start to kind of get along. At one point, Powerhouse even says something about his own anger issues, and Night Laser feels a rare twinge of fatherly instinct and asks Powerhouse 2 how his relationship with his dad is, and that surely he could be talking to his dad about this stuff. Powerhouse 2 doesn't love to talk about his feelings, though, which is ironic because neither does Night Laser. So the scene ends up being a weird mix of like awkward and oddly heartwarming. In the end, the heroes finally manage to knock out Barrage, while Friction uses her super speed and gadgetry skills to tear apart the bar door of Barracuda's nightclub. Which brings us to our epilogue, which takes place back in the Continuum Bar and Grill, where Jade Jaguar is on his feet again. And after the heroes make sure that he's all right, he heads back through the bar door of the CB&G to Mexico and then back into the jungle there, where he tries to live a life of secrecy out of the public eye, just like he did before he accidentally wound up on the news in the previous game session. And that was it for this game session. We enjoyed playing it. Hopefully, you enjoyed hearing about it. If so, as always, smash like, make sure you're subscribed, and leave a comment. And from all of us here at the longest running superhero role playing game on Earth, we hope you have a good one, and we'll see you in the next adventure. Bye.